High temperature 84 and a westerly wind at 5 to 15.
Good morning. Welcome to the Greg Belfrage Show. We're just getting ready to get underway. Are you ready to rock and roll this morning? You know, it's just incredible the pressure that the Biden administration is under the president to get out of the race. Details on that in just a moment. It's the big story this morning. Thanks for being here. I really appreciate it. All right, here we go.
The Doctor of Discernment is on the air.
Tell you what, I don't know about you, but I'm going to go to bed.
The Biden administration has a fatal attraction to nutty ideas.
Dispensing a daily dose of common sense, no prescription required.
I love the show.
I don't hate going to work anymore.
Americans love a winner and will not tolerate a loser. Americans
Here we go.
win all the time.
I don't believe in the no-win scenario.
This is the Greg Belfrage Show.
Good morning, my friend. The marketplace of ideas is open. It is great to have you along. Welcome to the Greg Belfrage Show. Let me give you, this is from Google News and a recap that, if you follow Google News, they will show you the big stories. And so one of the big stories is concerns over the president and whether the president ought to run. And I'll give you examples here. CBS News, concerns mount among lawmakers and donors over Biden's candidacy. That was just this morning. CNN, an hour ago, Biden's post-debate crisis is now evolving into a genuine threat to his reelection. The Wall Street Journal, within last hour, Biden is like Yoda inside the big money battle to salvage the Democratic ticket. And the Associated Press, Representative Lloyd Doggett becomes first Democrat in Congress to call for Biden's withdrawal from the 2024 presidential race. So, yeah, it's a nightmare out there for the president this morning. So Karine Jean-Pierre at the Ministry of Truth held a news conference yesterday, and there were a lot of questions to Karine Jean-Pierre about the president's performance during that debate last week. And so one reporter said, does President Biden at 81 years old have Alzheimer's, any form of dementia or degenerative illness that caused these lapses? And it's a yes or no question, the reporter said. And she said, are you ready for it? It's a no. And I hope you're asking the other guy the exact same question, doing what she usually does, deflecting then to Donald Trump. Fox News asked if the administration regretted using the terminology of the cheap fake, about all these cheap fake videos that we're seeing of Joe Biden. These are all cheap fakes. And then you see that debate and you go, that's no cheap fake. I mean, that's real, right? And so do you regret using the term? She was asked. No, not at all. Not at all, she said. Independent mainstream fact checkers. Okay, that makes me laugh. Independent mainstream fact checkers in the press and misinformation experts have been calling out cheap fakes. And at the end of the day, they're fakes. And that's what they were, targeting the president. They have said, the reporters and these misinformation experts, that this president was being targeted. And what we did was echo them. That's what we did. And look, we'll certainly continue to call that out. And she said the cheap fake, that terminology, she said, came from the media. They called it cheap fakes. And they said this President Biden, was being targeted on misinformation. Man, she is so repetitive. Is she not? I mean, she's under the illusion that just saying the same thing, if you say it more times and you just continue to talk, that. So she said, no, I don't regret it at all. And I would not have expected that she would. So one reporter asked Karine Jean-Pierre yesterday, is anyone in the White House hiding information about the president's health or his ability to do the job day to day? Absolutely not, she said. Another reporter asked, after the debate, did the president get examined by a doctor or did he get a neurological scan? And she said, a neurological scan? Look, what I can say is that, just to take a step back, it was a bad night. We understand that it was a bad night, and the president has spoken to this, and he understands that. So that's the big takeaway from Karine Jean-Pierre at the Ministry of Truth, is that it was a bad night. So what they're trying to say is this is a kind of a one-off. Now, I told you yesterday, remember Carl Bernstein on CNN on Monday saying it actually was not a one-off. And that there are people who have seen him and people around who are saying, no, this is happening more and more frequently. Bernstein said earlier this week. So Karine Jean-Pierre saying, yeah, she's seeming to say, oh, it was a one-off. It was off that night and it's not going to happen again. So the president addressed this. He was at a campaign event in McLean, Virginia last night. And he was talking about the debate. And he said, I didn't have my best night. But the fact is, I wasn't very smart. He said, I decided to travel around the world a couple of times, going through around 100 time zones before the debate. Didn't listen to my staff. Came back and nearly fell asleep on stage. He said, that's no excuse, but it is an explanation, the president said. I think the president is forgetting that following that trip around the world, he spent 5-6 days, didn't he, at Camp David? How long was he holed up at Camp David prior to the debate? So again, does it take him a week to recover from something like that? I think that's a legitimate question. If it takes him a week to recover, or more than a week, then does he have the strength to actually be president of the United States? A lot of people asking that question. Washington Examiner's got a piece this morning. Troublesome Tuesday. Biden's day rocked by calls to quit. Bad polling and a Trump reprieve. We'll get more to Donald Trump here coming up in just a few minutes. Big news going on there. But yesterday began with a report from Politico, assembled with interviews, from interviews with over 24 Democrats with knowledge of the inside workings of the White House. The report portrayed Biden as angry and cloistered by a cabal of close advisors, cut off from the outside world. And the president's team then disputed that. And so then it just goes on. We also saw yesterday, I mentioned this as I was running down the stories at Google News. We had a Democrat from Texas, Representative Lloyd Doggett, became the first sitting House Democrat to call on the president to withdraw from the race. So Doggett is the first now to actually do that. He's calling on the president to withdraw from the race. He said the president failed to effectively defend his many accomplishments and expose Trump's many lies, recognizing that unlike Trump, President Biden's first commitment has always been to our country, not himself. I'm hopeful that he will make the painful and difficult decision to withdraw. I respectfully call on him to do so. So a lot of other Democrats are supporting Joe Biden, but a growing number now seem to be saying he ought to withdraw from the presidential race. there are some 25 House Democrats now who are poised rather to call on him to withdraw from the race, and he'll be meeting with them. So Newsmax says the president's facing pressure. Some donors have called for him to step aside. Other Democrats are worrying openly that he's not equipped to beat Trump coming up in November. There are 25 Democratic members of the House of Representatives who are preparing to call for the president to step aside, according to one House Democratic aide. A second House Democratic aide said moderate House Democrats in competitive districts were considering writing a letter to Biden about their concerns after getting hammered with questions in their districts this week. And this source said it looks like the dam has broken. So a Reuters Ipsos poll taken after the debate showed 1 in 3 Democrats think Biden should end his re-election bid. There is CNN polling that is out this morning, or was out maybe, I think, perhaps yesterday, that CNN was out with their polling. And I'll touch on that in a moment. So you got the first congressional Democrat publicly calling on the president to drop out of the presidential race. This is a piece by Katie Pavlich at townhall.com. Several pieces at townhall.com that I'll share with you this morning. This one by Katie Pavlich. And she writes, during an interview with MSNBC yesterday, top Biden ally and Democratic Congressman James Clyburn said he would support the Vice President, Kamala Harris, as a replacement for Biden, although he still wants to see the Biden-Harris ticket move forward. And he said, this party should not in any way do anything to work around Miss Harris. We should do everything we can to bolster her, whether she's in second place or at the top of the ticket, he said. So during this interview, he defended Kamala Harris. Also, it's being reported Representative Nancy Pelosi says both candidates deserve scrutiny over their age. She said yesterday it's fair to question the president's health. She said, I think it's a legitimate question to say, is this an episode or is this a condition? And so when people ask that question, it's legitimate. Karine Jean-Pierre was asked during the news conference yesterday. Reporter said, why doesn't Biden pass the baton to his own 59-year-old vice president, Kamala Harris? And Karine Jean-Pierre said, I can't speak to that. So this is really an evolving situation. The Hill has got a piece this morning. Kamala Harris over Joe Biden? Democrats ponder that question. The Democrats are wrestling with this question as to whether the vice president would be a stronger candidate coming up in the fall than the president would be. And in fact, one former Ohio representative, Tim Ryan, says Harris should be the Democrat nominee for the 2024 election, not President Joe Biden, he said. And Tim Ryan said, I ran for president in 2020. I was the first presidential candidate to endorse Joe Biden in 2020. I love America. I love our party. I love Joe Biden. The Democratic nominee in 2024 should be Kamala Harris. He wrote that in Newsweek. So you've got people that are really Democrats now. Even mine is Democrats. I'd love to see Joe Biden still run. But Kamala Harris, I'm just as excited about a Kamala Harris run as I because her polling has been worse than Joe Biden's. So I don't think she'll fare any better against Donald Trump than Joe Biden will. Jake Tapper reported on X about Democratic governors who recently held a private call expressing concerns about the president and his handling of current issues. And Tapper said on X, on the call, Democratic governors expressed concern about what's going on with the president. They know if they come forward publicly with concern that it will likely cause Biden to dig in more. They were also surprised that none of them had heard from him. I've been seeing this over the last few days. Democrat governors are, why haven't we heard from the president? It was one of the stories I had for you yesterday, in fact. So Tapper says they're trying to set up a meeting at the White House or via Zoom for those who can't come. Nothing is on the books yet, but the White House knows of the request. Dem governors are not coming in with any specific message, but they feel the need to hear from President Biden. That's what Jake Tapper is reporting. Matt Vespa over at Town Hall has got a piece this morning, and he said, it seems there is a concerted and aggressive push to get Joe Biden to step down. Camp David weekend chat with his family, Jill and Hunter, did little to dissuade a significant core of the Democratic Party from backing off their pressure campaign to force Biden off the ticket. And he writes about that at length. And then he's got, what people are saying on X and social media. And pollster Nate Silver had a post where he the story involving, and I shared it with you a few moments ago, James Clyburn saying that he would support Vice President Kamala Harris. So as this was being reported, the Nate Silver included that quote, and he said, theme from Jaws. In other words, the sharks are circling. The sharks are circling. The New York Post saying 25 House Democrats prepare to call for the president to end his reelection effort. And this just goes on. So the Washington Examiner has a piece this morning. The White House says the president does not have Alzheimer's, but they're continuing to claim that a cognitive test is not warranted. Now we do not need a cognitive test. And this is what's coming from the Ministry of Truth. Karine Jean-Pierre said, his team has said it's not warranted in this case. We have put forward a thorough, transparent annual report on his health. Is there anything transparent that comes from this administration? I mean, seriously. She said, so they have said that is not warranted. That is not necessary. Now, if you can believe anything that comes out of that White House, I simply cannot, or I just can't. I don't trust those that are close to the White House. They're saying this, the president just had a bad day. They're acknowledging that now. Oh, it was a bad day. It was just a bad day. And again, you've got Carl Bernstein out there on CNN this week saying he's had a lot of these bad days. And they're refusing to talk about it. So we've also, how did you react to the news yesterday that Hunter Biden is sitting in on his father's meetings? The White House admitted then that Hunter was in the room as the president prepared to deliver a primetime address responding to the Supreme Court's decision the other night. And she said it's been she said this week is a holiday week with the 4th of July. Yeah, normally it would be. And I would say I've been at this for a long time. I've been doing talk radio now for a good part of my life, that I've been hosting a talk radio show. And years ago, you would have seen that news would have slowed to a trickle around a major holiday like the 4th of July. There would be no news being committed. And this morning, it's just my stack of stuff is just, man, it's an inch and a half thick. So also other news, big stories this morning. The president's going to be sitting down with ABC News on Friday for his first TV interview since the debate. So you got Democrats calling on Biden to drop out. So he's going to sit down with ABC News on Friday. Also, there's a CNN poll out. Most voters think Democrats will have a better chance of keeping the White House if Joe Biden is not the nominee. According to CNN, 3/4 of U.S. voters say the Democrats would have a better shot without Joe Biden. Also, it's just, seriously, there's so much news that's just raining down that it's even difficult to get through this. We've got the New York Judge Juan Merchan delayed the criminal sentencing then of Donald Trump until September 18th. And because of the president's poor debate performance, you've got more undecided voters who say, yeah, they're voting for Donald Trump. So I will touch on those stories as the morning goes on this morning, but that's a look at the big stories today. So great to have you along this morning. I really appreciate it. Currently partly cloudy, 63. This hour of the Greg Belfrage Show brought to you by the Window Shop of Mitchell, offering custom windows starting at $99 a month.
Weekend 6 to 9.
Woo! That's a lot of news. We got more to come. I'll run down trending stories for you here in just a few moments. We've got a news update on the way here shortly. Let me check on time, see how we're doing. I went too long. Just so many stories, and all legitimately big news. Seriously, it's just incredible.
We are the Peace Corps. In more than 60 countries, we go all in and all out. We are volunteers, partners, communities.
There we go.
Together, living together, bringing our experience, passion, and joy to building a better world together. From tackling climate change in Mexico to keeping kids healthy in Kenya, from sustainable farming in the Philippines to education in Kosovo. We learn more, give more, share
Okay.
serve boldly. Are you ready to tackle the tough stuff?
News headlines coming up. I'll share those with you here in a moment. I just wanted to check the lighting. You know what? I'm going to bring that light down.
Mostly sunny skies today and warmer. Our high 84 with a west wind 5 to 15.
I changed the lighting in here a little bit. I'm trying to give you a better image. Still too bright.
Scattered showers of thunderstorms. Some of that activity could be locally heavy. I-75. From the Storm Center, KELO TV.
And in Sioux Falls at 6:30, sunshine in 63. Joe Bowman is in the KELO.com News Center this morning. And among stories that Joe is covering for us, more big money pouring into South Dakota's campaign battle over carbon capture pipelines. Nearly 185,000 South Dakotans are expected to hit the road for the July 4th holiday. And Wall Lake has now reopened. So Joe will have details on those stories and more coming up for you here in just a few moments. Great to have you along. We'll run down trending stories. Those are on the way here at KELO. Okay, I'm going to turn up the monitor here a bit so you can hear news.
Competency and re-election chances.
We have a number of Democrats breaking that wall of support. Representative Lloyd Doggett saying that he wishes he had called on Biden sooner to drop out. Congressman Jared Golden of Maine wrote in an op-ed, Biden's poor performance in the debate was not a surprise. While I don't plan to vote for him, Donald Trump is going to win, and I'm okay with that. There are winners and losers in every election.
Democrat said, I'm okay with that. With Trump winning. That's a Democrat.
Early season strength and how far out it formed.
As we watch this,
I would have never seen this coming.
Jamaica, probably not a landfall, but very near it. And then
I'm going to check these lights again.
By the time you get into Friday, by Monday morning, there's at least a risk that we're running up towards South Texas.
Fox meteorologist Adam Klotz. America's listening to Fox News.
It's a little better.
KELO News Time, 6:31. I'm Joe Bowman in the KELO.com News Center. More big money is pouring into South Dakota's campaign battle over carbon capture pipelines. Candidates were heavily funded by pro-pipeline groups in last month's primary elections, but many of those candidates lost their primary contests. Pipeline opponent Ed Fishbach says the company that wants to build a massive aviation fuel plant near Lake Preston donated $167,000 to the group promoting the CO2 line.
But the issue is that the people that are involved with this group called Protect the South Dakota's Ag are giving everybody in the state the impression that it's a grassroots effort being financed by farmers and ag groups. And now we see that that's just not true.
Pipeline opponents have submitted petitions calling for a referendum on a bill passed this year that makes way for the pipeline projects. So far, the Secretary of State's office hasn't said if the group turned in enough valid signatures to force the election. Nearly 185,000 South Dakotans are expected to hit the road for the upcoming Independence holiday this year. AAA South Dakota is encouraging drivers to properly inflate your tires and check your battery before traveling. They also remind motorists to be alert behind the wheel and expect more vehicles on the road than usual. Wall Lake in Minnehaha County is now reopened. Several lakes in the recent flood area were closed to boating by Governor Nome. The water is still high on the lake, so a no-wake restriction is in place. Boaters are reminded to be cautious of debris below the surface. McCook Lake in Union County remains closed. And the Sioux Falls Canaries are flying high after a doubleheader sweep of the Chicago Dogs. Ty Culbreth pitched 6 effective innings to win the opener 8-4 in Rosemont, Illinois. In the nightcap, Neil Lang tossed a complete game shutout in the Canaries' 6-0 win. The series resumes tonight at 6:30. From the KELO.com News Center, I'm Joe Bowman.
The news never stops. KELO News Talk 1320 107.9.
Mostly sunny skies and warmer today in the Sioux Falls area. Our high temperature 84 and a westerly wind at 5 to 15. A few scattered thunderstorms in the region tonight. Low temperature at 62. Most of that rain will be west of Sioux Falls. And for tomorrow, 4th of July, scattered showers and thunderstorms, likely high 75. From the Storm Center at KELOLAND TV, I'm meteorologist Brian Karstens.
Our business is news, and business is good. KELO News Talk 1320 107.9 and KELO.com.
Today, another episode of Scam Week. Real scams hurting real people who have lost real money. Everything you hear is real, and it could happen to you. I'm Kim Commando for NetSuite. Attention business owners, get a one-of-a-kind flexible financing program at netsuite.com/Kim. Even celebrities, the very rich and smart, are getting scammed. Take billionaire Shark Tank host Mark Cuban. He says that he accepted a phone call from an unknown number, someone identifying herself as Nora from Google Security. And that, by the way, is the first red flag. Google does not call customers about their accounts. Nora said that Cuban's Google account had been hacked. He should quickly retrieve the email that she just sent, provide his passwords, and then she and Google would fix his account. And fix she did. But she wasn't from Google. The caller had just duped a very smart man into helping her hack his own email and give up his passwords. Learn from his big mistake. Enter to win a $1,000 gift card for your favorite airline at winfromkim.com. Attention small business owners, are you tired of juggling multiple systems to manage your business? You don't have to do that anymore. Simplify your life with NetSuite. It's the #1 cloud financial system. Here's why. NetSuite brings accounting, financial management, inventory, and HR all into one platform, providing you one source of truth. Imagine reducing your IT costs and cutting the expense of maintaining multiple systems. You see, with SimpliSafe, you can easily improve efficiency by consolidating all of your major business processes. Say goodbye to manual tasks and errors. Join over 37,000 companies already benefiting from NetSuite. And here's some really exciting news. By popular demand, NetSuite has extended its one-of-a-kind flexible financing program for just a few more weeks. Now, I don't want you to miss out. Head to netsuite.com/Kim right now. That's netsuite.com/Kim. NetSuite, everything you need, all in one place. netsuite.com/Kim.
The Kim Commando Show, live Saturday mornings at 9. KELO, News Talk 1320, 107.9.
The KELO hotline is brought to you by Tires. Your Give You More tire and automotive store. Financing programs available, 2 Sioux Falls locations to serve you.
I want to learn how to cook, but I keep ordering takeout.
All right.
But when your goal is to learn a new language, that will make it easy.
Thanks so much for letting me join you this morning. I really appreciate it.
Having conversations in as little as 3 weeks. Words and phrases you'll actually use. So when someone asks, "How's your French going?" you can say,
I just don't think there's any avoiding this big white glare coming off my head. I'm going to have to start wearing a cap every morning, I think. Bothers me. Not my bald head. I'm used to that, the glare.
Civic Tax Relief's special tax hotline can help you discover all the relief programs available for free.
Just call 800-841-0908. 800-841-0908. 800-841-0908.
Bring charm from the outdoors into your home with Renewal by Andersen picture and combination windows. Optimizing a beautiful view and lighting a bedroom, kitchen, and
sorry to be testing this, but being able to look at the screen gives me a better idea. I wonder if it's the sun.
Protect your home with style, ensuring lasting beauty and protection.
Nope, it's the lights overhead.
605-764-9517 for a free estimate.
Can't count on that sunshine being here every morning, and especially as we get into the winter months. Be darker days ahead.
For the first time, you can have instant mail enhancement. Introducing
Thanks so much for letting me join you. I appreciate it. Hit the thumbs up button, hit the like button, or hit the dislike button if you like what we're doing. It's great to have you along. Drop me an email anytime. greg.belfrage@kelo.com is my email address. greg.belfrage@kelo.com.
That's yesterday's news. Knox 47 is brand new. The hottest thing for men. And you don't need a prescription. Call now and get your free supply for a limited time.
Find out how to get Knox 47 for free. Call now, 800-481-9983. That's 800-481-9983. Free bottles for limited time. Call 800-481-9983. That's 800-481-9983.
Okay, coming up, we'll run down stories that are trending, and those come from a website. It's freespoke.com, freespoke.com, and it's a great resource. They've got an app you can download right to your phone, and really, really helpful, showing you what stories are trending and what's going on. 639, partly cloudy, and 63. Welcome to the Greg Belfrage Show, and a thanks to those of you who are watching on YouTube. Very much appreciated. Each day, the Greg Belfrage Show, we stream the 6 a.m. hour of the show on YouTube, and then I do after show wrap following the show at 9:30 each morning, which we also do on YouTube. So thanks to those who are following us on YouTube, very much appreciated. Just as much as the folks who follow us here in this hour of the Greg Belfrage Show, brought to you by the Window Shop of Mitchell, offering custom windows starting at $99 a month.
Let the tweeting begin. The hashtag does that. News and views from Belf's News Gallery.
Well, a House Democrat lawmaker has become the first in the Democratic Party to publicly call for President Joe Biden to step down as the party's nominee for president. And he said the debate performance against Donald Trump, he said that Biden failed to effectively defend his many accomplishments. So this is Representative Lloyd Doggett of Texas releasing a statement yesterday that the president should make the painful and difficult decision to withdraw. And he says, my decision to make these strong reservations public is not done lightly, nor does it in any way diminish my respect for all that President Biden has achieved. He said, recognizing that unlike Trump, President Biden's first commitment has always been to our country, not himself, I am hopeful that he will make the painful and difficult decision to withdraw. I respectfully call on him to do so. California Governor Gavin Newsom heading to Washington, D.C. to stand with the president at a meeting with Democratic governors that the Washington Examiner says could decide the party's presidential nominee this November. So Newsom is headed to the Capitol today. He said to stand with the president, according to a spokesperson for Gavin Newsom. CNN's got a new poll out. Most voters think Democrats will have a better chance of keeping the White House if Joe Biden is not the party's nominee. So this is a new poll that was released yesterday. So in a matchup between the presumptive major party nominees, voters nationwide favor Donald Trump over Joe Biden by 6 points. That's well outside the margin of error. Generally, the margin of error is 3 points. So they favor Trump over Biden by 6 points. And this is, CNN says that's identical to the results of CNN's national poll on the presidential race in April. I'm surprised it's not, that it's not worse than that. The poll also finds Vice President Kamala Harris within striking distance of Trump. Yeah, we'll see. Also, the White House admitting that Hunter Biden was in the room as the president was preparing to deliver a primetime address. I think it's more than that, him just being in the room. There are reports out there. He's advising his father. So he is sitting in as advisor, according to some published reports out there. So I think it's more than just, the White House admitting that he was in the room, but what was he doing in the room? The president getting ready to go, address the nation and respond then to the Supreme Court ruling this week. What reason would there be for him to be in the room if he were not advising his father? Also, the president is going to sit down with ABC News on Friday. This will be his first television interview since last week's presidential debate. And he will speak to Good Morning America and This Week anchor George Stephanopoulos for the interview. And this will air then on Friday in World News Tonight. And then the portions of it will also air over the weekend, Saturday and Sunday, on Good Morning America. So the extended interview will air Sunday on This Week. But again, you know, it's kind of a holiday. We got the 4th of July, of course, tomorrow. And so for many, there are a lot of folks who will be taking time off. I'll be among them, you know, and they will be traveling perhaps over the July 4th holiday. How many folks are going to catch that? Also trending this morning, New York Judge Juan Merchan yesterday decided to delay the criminal sentencing of Donald Trump until September 18th. Trump was supposed to be sentenced on July 11th. He's now putting it off until September 18th. And that decision came hours after Alvin Bragg, who is the district attorney in Manhattan, said he would not object to a delay. So initially, the Trump team had asked that the judge do that, and it wasn't until Alvin Bragg said he would not object to it that he decided to push it back. So that means that Trump will not be sentenced before the Republican National Convention, where, you know, Trump is expected to become the nominee of the party. So it will be delayed until after the RNC convention. Also, Trump trying to overturn his conviction then in the wake of the Supreme Court decision this week. So the president, Trump's team believes that it applies to the hush money case as well. So, but the issue there is those actions occurred during the time that Trump was a candidate. Prior to becoming president, but Trump's lawyers are likely to argue that the evidence that prosecutors used against him was taken during his time in the presidency. So that's going to be sticky. Also, Hunter Biden suing Fox News, accusing Fox News of smearing him and unlawfully publishing his explicit images without his consent in a mini-series that they did about his legal troubles. So in the lawsuit, Hunter is claiming Fox News of unjust enrichment, as well as intentionally inflicting emotional distress. Oh, please. Hunter, I think you're the one that inflicted a lot of emotional distress on yourself. Give me a break. Is it the New York Post next? You after them next? New York Post, of course, published all those content, the content of Hunter Biden's laptop. And Twitter at the time, prior to becoming X under Elon Musk, refused to. They tried to shut down that story. Yeah. Give me a break. Other stories trending this morning. The U.S. Marshals Service announced this week that they have recovered or safely located roughly 200 children. And about a quarter of them were from Arizona. And this was part of a national 6-week operation called We Will Find You Too. Second time they've done it. It's aimed at locating missing or abducted children across the country. We will find you. And the Marshals Service said they'd recovered 123 children, located 77 others who were found to be in a safe environment and didn't need to be removed. But the children at least were found. Other news trending this morning. A new Alzheimer's drug treatment from Eli Lilly has won FDA approval. So Eli Lilly and Company's Alzheimer's treatment cleared in the U.S. as the second drug to slow progression of Alzheimer's, and that afflicts about 6 million Americans. Also, the U.S. Supreme Court agreed yesterday to consider whether a Texas law that requires pornographic websites to verify the age of individual users, they'll consider whether that violates constitutional free speech protections. So the U.S. Supreme Court in their next session will hear this. So they are due to hear the case in their next term, which their next term will begin in the fall in October. So it'll be some time, but they have agreed that they will hear the case. Speaking of the Supreme Court yesterday also avoided taking up a series of new cases about the scope of the right to bear arms, and they left in place an Illinois law that bans assault-style weapons such as the AR-15 semi-automatic rifle. And the decision not to hear the multiple cases then challenging the Illinois law is going to remain in effect for now. The court sent several other gun cases back to lower courts for further review. And this Supreme Court has been doing a lot of that, where they're sending cases back to lower courts for more, for additional review. Also, the president's re-election campaign announced yesterday that they'd raised $264 million in second quarter of this year. So $264 million. However, Donald Trump and Republicans, Trump's campaign revealed yesterday that they raised a total of $331 million. In other words, they raised $67 million more than the Biden campaign. Rudy Giuliani has been disbarred in New York. They say that he misused his position as Donald Trump's attorney to attack the legitimacy of the 2020 election with repeatedly and intentionally made false statements. And so they said, as to the sanction, the referee's disbarment recommendation is amply supported by the record and should be confirmed. And they said Giuliani's responding to this pretty forcefully. But the court cites Giuliani's false claim that a vote had been cast in Joe Frazier's name in Philadelphia, although his voter registration had been canceled upon his death in 2011. Among the reasons why they have disbarred now Rudy Giuliani. Other stories trending this morning outside of the political. Redbox. Gizmodo's got a piece this morning. Redbox is finally Deadbox. So the parent company of Redbox, parent company is Chicken Soup for the Soul Entertainment. They filed for bankruptcy. And they did this over the weekend, according to a report from Deadspin. So they racked up almost $1 billion of debt, had issues paying employees, covering their benefits. And this is pretty crazy. Redbox, you know what's happened to video rental sales. They've fallen through the floor, in favor of streaming services. I mean, movies are still intensely popular, but going and renting a DVD or at this point, or Blu-ray, so on, is a thing of the past for many people. And this piece of Gizmodo says that Redbox's demise is another indicator that physical media is becoming a thing of the past. Best Buy and Target announced in the past year that physical stores will no longer sell DVDs and Blu-ray discs. Netflix started its business by sending out DVDs via email. They discontinued their physical media service. And so this is just another sign that, see, I still love getting original. I still love getting DVDs, Blu-rays. I have an extensive collection of films on DVD and Blu-ray, and I plan to continue that, because we talked about this a little bit recently. Who's to say that those versions that you stream are not going to be edited and changed and references removed and so on. And finally, this morning, Robert Towne, who is the Oscar-winning writer of Chinatown, has died at the age of 89. So he passed away on Monday, surrounded by family in his home in Los Angeles. And that's a look at the stories trending this morning in Belf's News Gallery. Thanks so much for starting your day with the Greg Belfrage Show. It's very much appreciated, my friend. This hour of our show brought to you by the Window Shop of Mitchell, offering custom windows starting at $99 a month. We got some sunshine this morning and 63. News headlines on the way. You're listening to the Greg Belfrage Show on KELO.
See you. You'll hear it on KELO.
Well, thank you so much, my friend, for letting me join you this morning. I very much appreciate it. If you, again, please hit the like button, hit the dislike button. It's very much appreciated. I'm glad to have you here. I want to give you a heads up. There will be no Greg Belfrage Show the rest of this week, and all of next week I'm on vacation. So I'm taking an extended time off here, one of my summer breaks. So no Greg Belfrage Show. It will resume a week from this Monday, but I'll be gone all of next week. So I don't want to startle you when there's no Greg Belfrage Show next week. Just be mindful of that. Drop me an email anytime, greg.belfrage@kelo.com. Thank you so much for being here this morning. I do appreciate it. You take care. So long until I return. I'll catch you at 9:30. We'll do the after show coming up this morning at 9:30. So make sure that you don't miss that. Got more and more folks that are watching the after show. So thank you so much, my friend. Take care, and may God bless.
We understand that your company's operating account is one of your most important